Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk a little bit about positive people and why I like positive people and how I wish I was a more positive person, right? Because even though you only see me through these YouTube videos, right? And you see like this person that's kind of trying to make you feel better and motivate you and all that sort of stuff. I'm not really a positive person deep down. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a negative person, but I think I'm intrinsically slightly below neutral, right? In terms of how positive a person I kind of am, right? And I want to make myself a more positive person, right? It's very easy to get yourself moaning about stuff that doesn't really matter and to start complaining about stuff that, like, you just sort of think, who really cares about this sort of thing, right? You know, like little things, you know, like just moaning and I can't think of a specific example, but you know when you just find yourself moaning, right? When you moan, right, it can be funny for a bit, right? You know, you can make a few jokes out of it and it's very easy to find humor in negative stuff because there's loads of words for negative things, you know, like bad, rubbish, crap, knobhead, twat, pain in the ass, oh, I'm sick of it, fuck's sake, you know, all loads of stuff, right? Rambunctious, fucking pain in the ass, fucking fuck off, you know, that kind of thing, right? There's loads of words for that. There's not really the same level of positive words and phrases. Oh, it's brilliant that. Oh, fucking A. Sweet. Oh, nice. Brilliant. And how some of those even sound sarcastic. If I went, oh, brilliant, right? I've got to really emphasize the, oh, brilliant, right? I can't just say, oh, brilliant. So if I say that, that sounds like I'm just sort of sarcastic and don't really mean it and it becomes a negative thing. The same doesn't really work in reverse. Say if I go, oh, I'm sick of it. That doesn't suddenly sound positive. That sounds even more negative, right? Than, oh, I'm sick of it, right? If I said, oh, I'm sick of it, you'd think, oh, he's a little bit sick of it. If I went, oh, I'm sick of it, then you'd think, go fucking hell, he's really sick of it, right? So you sort of see my point? So I've been hanging around sort of different people lately and I've been noticing this clear-cut divide between positive and negative influences upon people, right? So went around the shops with someone who was you know, sort of chirpily sort of going, oh, thank you, you know, as they sort of leave the shop and, you know, that kind of thing. And I sort of got myself thinking, like, when I try and sort of do that, I can barely muster up the sort of words to sort of go, oh, cheers, oh, cheers. I'm kind of mumbling it, right? And I'm wondering why I'm doing that because I'm just as thankful for this shop being here as the person that I was with was. We both didn't buy anything, right? So we're equally thankful for this shop being here. And yet they were able to say, oh, thank you. You know, really like chirpily like that. Whereas I have to like really force that. And if I do that too forcefully, then it sounds fake and phony, right? So how do you balance that? How do you become more of a positive person? I think first, which is probably quite important, is shutting out a lot of the negative influences around and about, right? There's so much negative stuff going on, right? I don't need to list examples because you already know, right? I'm not just talking about politics either. I'm talking about, you know, that local venue that you like is shutting down. Okay, that's a bad thing and I'm sad that that's happening, right? But at the same time, that's not a reason to just, like, you can be negative for the duration of that conversation, but it's not a reason to stay negative into the next conversation, which might be about, I don't know, why butterflies are nice, right? You don't need to bring a negative energy to that kind of conversation, right? So I think it's about trying to get yourself in as many positions of positive discussion as possible. Try and, instead of bringing up something negative, try and bring up something positive, right? I was having some dinner with some people a few weeks ago, right? And because I've just started working in a pub and because I'm quite tall, right, I'm gonna die like 10 years earlier. And I was saying to these people that I was having a dinner with, like talking about the experiences, because they said, oh, I bet you're sort of sick of having to talk about your height. And I was like, the only annoying thing is having to not mention that fact, because the temptation to say, oh, I'm gonna die in, you know, 10 years earlier than average, right? And one of the people put their fork down and kind of like, oh, and I was like, oh shit, I've gone too negative far too quickly, right? So I know that that's a negative thing to say, but at the same time, sort of expressing a true fact about myself, like statistically I am going to die 10 years earlier, right? And I've come to terms with that. I'm not like miserable about it, right? And I didn't even see it as a negative thing until I got that reaction. I was like, oh fuck, that is a really negative thing to say. That's like bringing the mood down, right? And why bring the mood down, right? There's a few things that you could bring the mood down for. Say one, you are genuinely really struggling and you need some help, right? And you're like calling out for help. It's like sort of like, hey, listen, man, like, can I just sort of sit down and talk to you? Listen, I'm fucking depressed, you know? And that's one good reason to bring the energy down, right? But at the same time, you can't do that forever, because then you start treating people like a therapist and you're kind of using people. Because you're sapping their energy by going into negative things. You sap a little bit of energy, right? And maybe you do by talking about positive stuff as well, but I think you sap a little bit less energy, right? So, yeah, that's one thing, right? And then another sort of example of bringing a negative energy to a conversation is moaning about politics, or moaning about this, or moaning about this person who gets on your nerves, or gossiping, right? All of these various things, when you do them to people, sometimes they can feel satisfying for you, right? And sometimes they might get a bit of a chortle out of like the way you phrase something or something like that, right? But you can't just keep going on being like this negative Nancy all the time, because people get sick of it, right? And you yourself will probably get sick of it as well, because we don't want to be sad. We don't want to feel bad. We want to be happy. I think everyone can agree that happiness is better than sadness, right? So why are we trying to overemphasize the sadness when we could be trying to emphasize the happiness, right? Well, it's because, you know that whole thing when you're in school and they go like, you know, it only takes 20 muscles to smile, but it takes 40 muscles to frown. So why don't you just smile? Sort of like that in reverse, because in real life, right, doing that, I have to stretch, right? Doing that, I don't, right? So I think it's kind of the opposite, where you're trying to, like, negative stuff is the default, right, to slip into. You have to actively try to be positive. I think people, one, appreciate that attempt, and two, they like to be around positivity, right? There's a difference between just positivity and like overwhelming positivity, where people will be in denial about all sorts of negative things, but which I've done videos about those sort of topics. But this is about just, you know, you can get overwhelming negativity as well, and it's much easier to get into the overwhelming negativity stuff. If you go on your social media of choice, right, and you scroll down, go through 100 posts, right, and count how many positive ones there are. Most likely less than 10. Most likely less than 10. For me, probably about 2. Maybe there's a few, because on Facebook I get like a few ones that are like, oh, here's a bunny that looks cute. And it's like, oh, doesn't that bunny look cute? Say you've got 2 bunnies, right? One is really, really cute and one is really, really ugly, right? What do you have more to say about, right? A bunny's really cute. Okay, all fucking bunnies are cute. Bunny's ugly? That's interesting. That's weird, isn't it? That bunny is so ugly. How is this bunny so ugly? What caused this bunny to be so ugly? Why is it so ugly? What's caused this, right? There's questions that come around it. There's no question of like, oh, why is this bunny so good looking, right? It's because it's a bunny. All bunnies are fucking cute, right? But this ugly bunny, right? Weird, isn't it? Why does it look like that? I want to know, right? So I'm immediately more drawn to the negativity, right? Whereas I want to, by default, just be able to look at that nice looking bunny and go, oh, that's a cute bunny, isn't it? Right? But once you've done that, oh, that's a cute looking bunny, isn't it? In my head, that finishes, right? The thought is ended there. But I think there's more to gain out of that in a subconscious level of appreciating the beauty of the world from the natural, you know, animals and stuff, you know. There was a robin that landed over there, right? And I was like, oh, that's really nice. There's a robin that's just sitting there. How cute is that? Oh, that's so cool. I like robins, right? It's better that than sort of if I looked at a robin and was like, oh, you fucking robin, for fuck's sake, fuck off, you know? I don't think anyone would like that. I don't think people look to someone to be that kind of influence where you're just sort of going, oh, fuck you, you stupid fucking mutt, you irritating fucking dog, pain in the ass. When there's a really good looking dog, there's a nice dog here that's being all like playful and happy and stuff, right? It's what you focus your attention on. Do you want to focus your attention on nice things and make yourself feel good, and then in turn make others feel good and make others want to be around you? Or do you want to dwell in the negativity, right? Get yourself down. The more you get yourself down, the harder it is to talk to people and like bring other people up, and you're kind of bringing people down. And it's a self-feeding cycle. They're both self-feeding cycles, right? And you want to try and be in this one as much as possible. Now, obviously, I understand that life circumstances happen, you know? You're not probably going to be... I think if someone said, oh, isn't that bunny really cute, whilst your mum's dying in the hospital, right? I think you would be a little bit irritated at that person, because it sort of seems a little bit vain, a little bit like not what matters. Oh wow, the bunny's cute, but my mum's dying, right? Can we focus on that, please? That's sort of more important, right? So it's about trying to edge yourself towards the positive stuff rather than allowing yourself to dwell in the negative stuff. But obviously sometimes there will be life circumstances that cause you to feel bad, right? That's always going to happen. And it's about how you react to that. Now, obviously I'm not saying, oh, your mum's dying in hospital, just look at that bunny for a bit and smile, right? Force yourself to smile, and that way other people will like you more. Because that doesn't, that doesn't make you feel good, right? Trying to force someone to smile isn't gonna make them want to smile. They'll just be sat there like this. And the second that you turn your head, that breathe is because that fake positivity that they're trying to bring about for themselves is exhausting, right? And it's a case of trying to find natural positivity in the world rather than forcing yourself to feel something that doesn't feel natural to you. So I think that's going to be the video. I hope that made some level of sense. I know that was a little bit sort of around and about, but generally the point I want to make is that it's nice to bring positivity about, and it's nice to be a loving, happy presence, right? Rather than someone who sits there and bitches and whines all the fucking time, right? Which, I'm certainly no, saint in that regard. I have my fair share of bitch and moans, right? And some of these videos are just dedicated to moaning about stuff, right? And that's not going to stop because I am trying to be the most myself that I can be, right? And that involves positivity and negativity, right? And I want to bring myself towards the positivity because both of these versions of me are me, but I enjoy being the positive one more than I enjoy being the negative one. I don't like being negative. It's just easier, right? So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this, if you agree or disagree. What are your thoughts on positivity and trying to be a positive influence? Do you get sick and tired of people trying to see the fucking good in everything? Do you wish that people would be more accepting of negative stuff? Or do you have some random thought on anything? Just put it in the comments and let's start a discussion about being happy, being sad, trying to be positive and trying to be negative, and see where it goes from there. So yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a good rest of the day. Take care, everybody, and bye-bye.